PWC here, just to talk to you guys. I'm going to go over a couple quick few things, and then they are going to take the stage. So first off, if you haven't registered yet, just a reminder, you can go to the website, click that very first image, register. We should have a laptop up here too, if you just want to do it here real quick. If you have your dues, you can pay after the meeting. The dues are going to be due October 1st. So if you don't pay by then, you're not getting the shirt. Which means that you can't go to the East Lansing trip, which is my next topic. East Lansing ASUG meeting. It's November 12th? 13th. 13th, thank you. So in order to do that, if you guys are interested in it at all, if you have questions about it, definitely come talk to us afterwards. We have a sign-up sheet up here if you're interested in it. If you are interested, please come up. Bree's got it. Sign your name, your interests, some real basic info. We'll be sending out an email link. You do have to register on ASUG's website as a member, and then once the event becomes available, you register for the event. So I'm going to be asking you guys for the next couple meetings about that. Just a reminder, any 301 students who are here, if they need any help with 301 after, we'll be here afterwards. PWC we'll talk about when they're done. So I'm going to open it up to PWC, so how about a big round of applause for them taking their time.
Alright, let me get my presentation up first. But thank you guys so much for coming. We are so impressed with this turnout. Some of the guys told me that we have 20 to 25 students today, so we're so excited to be here. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's like a pretty yucky day out there. Did any of you guys hear about the Detroit flood that we had a couple weeks ago? Well, we were nervous that was going to be today too, so I'm so thankful that my whole team was here to come today and present for you guys. So with that, just to kind of give you an overview for what we're going to talk about, it's risk assurance. So I've got some team members here who have experience in that area, and we'll talk to you about some of the positions that we have available and the opportunities that we have within our practice. So to start, I want to do some team introductions so you guys can kind of hear our stories, learn about our experiences, and get to know us. So to introduce myself first, my name is Allison Muir. I am the lead recruiter at Central for PWC. I started with the firm 3 weeks ago, so I am very, very new. This is my second campus I've been to with the firm, but I was a recruiter at another company for the last 3 years, so I'm very excited to be here today with you guys. And if you have any questions about the recruiting process or anything like that, I'm your girl. And I'll let you guys introduce yourself too.
So I'll follow after Allison, who has a pretty close last name to me. I'm Ryan Maurer. I graduated from Central with accounting and accounting information systems majors this past May. So like Allison, I've only been here for a few weeks. But I am specialized in PwC in the SAP practice. Specifically, it's called the IT and Project Assurance Group. And so I'll talk more about that later. But I'm a Central alum, so far up chips.
I too am a CMU alum. My name is Zachary Mattis. I am the risk assurance new associate, but I'm also a process assurance associate. Been with the firm for 6 weeks maybe. Yeah, and graduated with these two guys right here. Accounting information systems, Crypt 10 certified, which we can talk about later. I'll explain what process assurance is too.
Chris Kerbal, graduated May. Crypt 10 certified, starting July, so I'm also associate. Talk about process assurance here.
I'm Patricia DeJulie. I did not graduate with these guys here. I've been with PwC since 2002. I'm a director in our practice. I actually started off in our tax group, and then that was in Indianapolis, moved over to Cleveland, and while I was in Cleveland, I met a boy who's now my husband, and we live together in Detroit, and we have a 15-month baby.
Hi, I'm Jackie Ostapo. I also also did not graduate with those 3, but I did graduate from Central a couple more years ago than I would care to admit. Started in our Washington, D.C. office in our advisory practice, and was very, very excited to move back to Detroit about 2 years ago to move into HR. So I support our assurance group from an HR perspective. I also do a lot of the training, the onboarding, so for all of our interns and our new hires that come into our practice, I'm heavily involved in that process. So any HR-related questions, any training, we're going to spend some time in a little bit talking about what we're looking for in people that we're bringing to PwC, but absolutely happy to stay after and continue that conversation if you have other specific questions. We're very excited you're here.
Yep, so kind of before we kind of go into the slideshow here, I thought it would be good to just kind of lay out some ground rules. Really, we want to make this interactive, so to the extent that you have questions, don't feel like you have to wait till the end of this deck. And our goal here isn't really to get through the slide material, but really to answer your questions. And again, really excited to be here. As you can see, we've got some top talent that we've hired in the past year from Central. So again, just really excited. As far as my role here, I'm one of the lead directors in charge of recruiting here at Central. So really excited. The slideshow here is just, at least for the next few slides, are really to lay out and introduce to you what PwC is, what our lines of services are, and where risk assurance fits into that whole picture. Any questions so far? I know we just started. Okay. Well, really within PwC, we have 3 lines of services. We have assurance, tax, I think we need to hit the click there, and advisory. Risk assurance falls under our assurance line of service, and the way that this slide is laid out is we have our lines of services, and then we have our groups that fall in under those lines of services. So within our assurance group, just a really simplified way of saying it is we provide assurance to our clients based on any information or data that they're expecting to gain assurance over. So good example are the financial statements. We help companies gain assurance over their financial statements, that the financial statements are reliable and that they're accurate, at least within a tolerable state. With tax, we have our private company services. So this is where we provide non-public companies with tax services. International assignment solutions, this is a really specialized area within tax where we help our clients really manage cost and tax implications associated with having an international and global workforce. And then that takes us up to transfer pricing. This is where it's more intercompany, so we help companies with dealing with certain interrelated transactions, so intercompany type transactions, and understand what those tax implications are. And then that takes us to our core tax options. Within core tax, we have our state and local tax practice. We have our international group, and then we also have our industry tax practice group, which is more of like your corporate taxes and filing those corporate tax returns. And then we have TPDG. That's the group that I actually started off my practice in. And what that is it's Tax Projects Delivery Group. And there's about 9 different service offerings that TPDG offers, but they're really specialized in terms of certain credits that are offered. For example, research and development is a credit that they offer. And with that, they help clients understand what that means as far as research and development credits and how to increase those research and development credits from a tax perspective. So that's tax. And then from an advisory point of view, we have consulting services as well as forensics and transaction services. With consulting, we have 3 lines: technology, risk, and management consulting. And then with forensics, really that deals with just helping clients prevent, respond, and remediate any issues that kind of come through from a regulatory perspective as well as from a legal point of view. And what we do is we use technology to help them, technology and analytics to help them kind of mine that data and respond to those risks. And then with regards to transaction services, we help our clients with certain deals, certain transactions, as it relates back to bankruptcy, raising capital like initial public offerings, etc. So risk assurance falls under the assurance umbrella. Within assurance, it's comprised of 4 different groups, if you will. Core assurance, this is where we have our external financial statements. So with this, we help companies really gain understanding, and then we help companies really audit their financial statements. So what that means is audit the numbers either from a detailed perspective or from an understanding perspective. When I say understanding perspective, that's really understanding the account balances and understanding the controls and the processes that help get to those account balances. Within the private company services space, same type of idea except for a non-public setting. And then risk assurance falls under that. Ryan will kind of go into more detail as to the lines, as to the groups that fall under risk assurance. But from a process assurance perspective, we really help our core assurance counterparts as well as our PCS, our private company services, just with respect to the account balances and understanding the controls and the systems and the processes that go into those account balances. And transaction services is the last group in the assurance umbrella. And transaction services, same type of concept on the advisory side, except it's more, we're providing assurance with how they're accounting, how clients are accounting for certain transactions, such as from a bankruptcy perspective or initial public offering. So, and then this next slide is just meant to talk about risk assurance and kind of the career path that's associated with risk assurance. So risk assurance, really just to kind of compare it with growth with industry, the career path is we start off as an associate, get promoted to senior, manager, director, and then partner. And then from an industry perspective, it's sort of similar in that line, but you may have more of a zigzag as it comes to coming up the ranks. For example, you start off in IT security, you may move on to business continuity. Somewhere along the lines, you may become in charge of compliance, or you may have specialties in operational accounting. But really within industry, there's a lot more growth, I would say, within PwC. And with respect to the breadth of experience that you get with PwC, within PwC you do get to interface with the internal audit departments. You do get an understanding of the internal audit piece of it, the IT audit, as well as certain concepts like IT security, business continuity. So I think that takes us to Brian, who's going to talk a little bit about our risk assurance services. Yeah, so our internal audit practice, really this practice is part of risk assurance, and we act on behalf of management. We are their internal audit. So what that could mean various things where we test out SOX controls, we understand and we do SOX walkthroughs. It could be cases in which where we're doing more process improvement or compliance controls testing. So within an SAP environment, for example, I specialize in our SAP practice. One of the things that we're working on is basically helping our clients develop their rule sets when it comes to segregation and duties within their GRC environment. So those are examples of internal audit and some of the services that are offered there.
So process assurance. The main thing you can take away from process assurance is we support core audit. From my example, you take in each client per engagement, you're going to take in scope all the different systems that their company uses and try and figure out which ones are going to affect the financial line statement items or the financial statements and their accuracy at all. And then we kind of do testing, evaluation to see if the systems are configured properly, accesses granted to the right people or denied to the wrong people. That's my part of process assurance.
That was
So Zach, what brought you to process assurance? Why do you like it so much?
Because I don't like core audit.
Why
No.
don't you like Laura?
So the difference is, I'm sure a lot of you probably aren't accounting majors. Raise your hand if you're an accounting major or minor or anything. Okay, so if you guys have taken audit yet with Professor Wyrick? Okay, that's why I don't like audit. He's a great teacher. No, I just don't like that type of class. Sorry, that came out totally wrong.
I don't know this professor, but I really don't like it.
No. Sorry, Professor Wyrick. If you see this. Yes, no,
He's right here, so I'm gonna bring him in.
No. Yeah, no, so he's a great teacher, but the class, the material, that's not what I like. So I like the information side of accounting. That's what brought me to process assurance, is not the debits, credits, tying things, tying numbers and stuff. It's more of the making sure the system is configured properly, who's got the right access, that kind of, those topics in accounting compared to the actual stage, the line items and stuff. Again, Professor Wyrick, if you see this video, he was great. And it was a fun class. But yeah, that's what brought me to process assurance.
Okay, and then another area that we have within the risk assurance practice is IT and project assurance. You'll hear the acronym a lot, so that's IT and PA. That's specifically what I'm under. First, I'm going to discuss data and reporting assurance. So that's another sub-area. So you think about what we've talked about. We've talked about assurance and risk assurance, and then IT, PA, and data assurance. So you see that it can get really specified within our company as far as what niche you want to be within. So data and reporting assurance, they do a lot of SAS 99 testing. SAS is Statement on Auditing Standards, number 99. And they do a lot of fraud analytics work, so they'll obtain 150,000 line items of data. And they'll go through this data, and they're just masters of going through the data and looking for fraud, seeing if these certain journal entries were recorded correctly, and just a lot of data analytics software that's really specialized. And so they are, I like to call them the technology gurus within our group. And then within the SAP development group, I am in the ERP risk and compliance solutions. And so how I like to explain this, as well as my manager, is that we're SAP craftsmen, and women, I should say. And so companies invest a lot of money into their ERP solutions, SAP primarily. And so they want to see the return on investment of their SAP system. And a lot of the time they'll be asking, okay, so when we implemented our SAP system, what did we get out of this? Why do we have so many manual controls? Why can't we just rely on our data? And so the answer is to, a lot of the times, hire a consultant to help them manage and go over their risks with them to propose different controls within their SAP group. So all the business processes that you guys learned within BUS 301, procure to pay, order to cash, you really have to know those processes, not just the process, the overall process itself, but specific to the client, because then you can suggest certain controls that are specific to the process. So it's really not only just knowing the process, but knowing your client. So there's a lot of different process offerings. And as you can see, there's a lot of information on this slide. So there's 4 main areas within the SAP group. There's governance, risk, and compliance. Who's heard of GRC before? Okay, so that's a really emerging group within the SAP group. And there's a lot of GRC tools that they're helping implement at different clients. There's also controls integration, so that's what I was talking about with knowing the business process of your client and then suggesting controls, so we're actually viewed as consultants within the firm and suggesting controls surrounding their business processes. We also do pre and post implementation reviews, so before they implement SAP and after, to see if they're going to get what they're going to get value out of their implementation, and then as well as some project maintenance as well. So there's a lot of different offerings within the ERP solutions. Yeah. Yep.
So how do you learn about your clients? I mean, you're saying you have to learn their business process, so how does that process work?
Definitely, that's a good question.
Process.
Sure. So during my internship, I actually did a few walkthroughs. And so that's a walkthrough is just, they'll take you through a process. For example, how they count their inventory. You can go through their warehouse and go through and observe how they do that, and you can observe and be taking notes, say, okay, their controls in this area look a little weak to me. I want to suggest something, more automated, so that it's not so manual. They want to have something more automated. We try to have our clients have more automated controls, a good balance within SAP, so they can really maximize that. But a walkthrough, inquiry, reperformance of a control, those are a lot of different areas that we really obtain understanding of our clients. Yep. And then this is just, yep.
Alright, so for sake of time, I'm going to send you guys these videos, but I'm not going to show them today. So, Patricia?
So we talked a little bit about what risk assurance is. What risk assurance is not is basically working in a small cube in front of a PC all day. Sounds riveting, but that's not what risk assurance is. And this is part of the reason why I joined risk assurance specifically. I did start off in our tax group, and for whatever reason, my tax experience, if I had a question on a personal property tax return that I was preparing, for example, I would have to route my questions to the senior, and my senior would ask the client those questions. And I wasn't even part of those discussions and that dialogue, so I didn't get the client exposure that I felt like I needed. So that's part of the reason why I joined risk assurance. And today, I can say, even as a new associate, I got experience and exposure to individuals such as the accounts payable clerk, individuals such as the CIO, IT director. So it was a good breadth for me of experience and more client exposure than I had within the tax environment. Risk assurance is also not a help desk, so we don't provide PwC help. We're not programmers, we're not developers, we're not database administrators, and we don't actually do system development or implementation. We can advise and help in that area, and we can provide pre- and post-implementation reviews, as Ryan had mentioned. So why join risk assurance? If you're an accounting major who's also interested in IT, this was me. I was an accounting and finance. I was an accounting and finance major, and I also had a concentration in CIS. And I wanted to leverage that CIS background more than I did in the tax world. The converse side is you are an MIS major and have an accounting emphasis. And accounting emphasis or accounting emphasis or accounting background. And that really helps us because at the end of the day, we're a professional accounting services firm. And on the process assurance side, for example, we're walking through accounting processes. So we're doing walkthroughs over the property, plant, and equipment cycle. And so understanding some of the basic concepts like depreciation, that will help you just understand that process more than having to start off at ground zero. Another reason why risk assurance is you enjoy financial statement accounting, but maybe you don't want to do more of the ticking and tying. And when I say ticking and tying, that's where you're going from account balance and you're understanding what makes up those account balances and you're tying it back to support. That might not be what you want to do. That wasn't what Zach wanted to do, which is why he joined risk assurance. Another reason why is you're looking to join a group with major client and people expansion. So our risk assurance group is one of our fastest growing groups within PwC. I went to a risk assurance leadership conference last week, and I went to that same leadership conference 2 years ago, and there were 700 people there the last time. Now it's 1,400. So really fast growing group. And PwC already has the largest assurance and systems audit practice. So I wanted to kind of stop here for a second, take any questions. And also, if there are any questions, I wanted to pull this group here to kind of understand why you joined risk assurance. So, Chris, I don't know what your thoughts are.
I was originally an accounting and finance major, and then towards the end of my college, I really started looking into IT, and I always liked IT growing up, so thought it would be a good fit for me with my accounting background. And I also really like it because I'm not stuck on the same clients. I can go to different businesses and see how they're doing inner workings, and it's always changing, so I like having the constant change, and it's exciting.
It wasn't because of Mr. Professor's
I actually like fighting.
Right.
Okay. So along the same lines as you said that you observed within your conference, risk assurance is one of the fastest growing practices within PwC. I saw like a figure, there's like 2,300 professionals within risk assurance now, so it was a lot smaller than that. Specifically with ITPA, it's like 4 years, it only started 4 years ago. So just really that opportunity to like be a pioneer for this group and really see it grow was something that really stuck out to me, to like be a leader in this group. And just the, like they said, the client experience and just the hands-on experience that you get at clients, it's a really good experience. And I know for me personally, I like to travel, and my job description was like 60 to 80% travel. So just forewarning, if you like to travel, it's free. Not process assurance, they're not all travel like that. So it just really depends on what you like to do.
So we have a few student hires as well, and I totally forgot to have you guys introduce yourselves. So if you're in the room, will you stand up and tell us why you are joining PwC, and then also maybe why risk assurance?
Hi, I'm Charlie Jeanette. I recently just accepted my summer 2015, actually core assurance internship, but I'm fresh off the recruiting process if anyone has any questions.
My name's Marty. I joined PwC for an internship this past summer and just recently signed my full-time last week actually with ITPA, so sorry for showing
I think I heard you as the bouncer.
So I really, when I heard PwC, I thought, you know, accounting, there's nothing there for me. And I was a finance undergrad. I had a little bit of accounting background, but it wasn't anything extensive. But after talking to some people from PwC, I realized there are more opportunities than just that, and risk assurance is one of them. And risk assurance, it wasn't, you know, do I need to know what an FSLI is? Yes. Do I need to be able to tie it back to all these different transactions and all that? No, not really. So for me, it was really, how do we bring value to our clients through ensuring that their systems are properly configured, ensuring that their systems don't just work, but work to their best advantage, and how do we help them to understand how to make their business more efficient. And during the process, we help the core understand systems as well, because they are the numbers people and we are the system people.
I remember a few years ago, you asked me how to spell SAP. You're one of my special people. No, sit down right away. People in the audience need to know that, you know, you were just learning about SAP. Is that not true?
Right. So
Here, it's like, what is it? Is there a future? Is there an opportunity? You're one of my shining stars now. I mean, one of many, but it's a good example. If you're in this audience and you're wondering, is there an opportunity for me down the line? Your dreams are only a limitation. So, yeah, you're my star.
exactly.
Marty's question.
And he did learn how to spell it.
I did. Finally, I wrote it down.
My name is Luke Fogarty. I interned this summer with Marty. I recently accepted my full-time offer as well. I'm looking to go into internal audit, which is a little different. A lot more accounting in internal audit, which was kind of my thing. I'm a double major in accounting and information systems. I did the TURP 10 earlier this summer with Mr. McBride. So, you know, the TURP 10 is huge to have also. But if you like the accounting side a little bit more, which maybe applies to the double majors in here and stuff, internal audit is a lot more dealing with numbers and ticking and tying, if you like that kind of thing, opposed to process assurance or ITPA.
So they're going to stick around after the presentation so you can have questions. Check them out. They got the bigger name tags on.
So why risk assurance? Interesting client assignments. I think compared to core assurance, there's more exposure. So on the core assurance side, you could be working on a client, for example, or you could be working on a couple of clients during the year. Within risk assurance, there's the breadth of client experiences. It's not uncommon for us to have anywhere from 3 to 6 different clients in a given year. So I think that that just helps in terms of understanding and comparing and contrasting different client environments. Interesting client assignments, we talked about exposure to senior management. I had talked about this a little bit before as a new associate. I did get exposure to everywhere from the accounts payable clerk up to the CIO. And as a director, that's changed where I have much more exposure to senior managers. Marty actually helped put together a CIO presentation to both the CIO at DT as well as his individual direct reports, and that turned out really well, so appreciate the help there. Travel opportunities. Zach and Ryan had talked a little bit about this, more Ryan around the travel opportunities with IT and PA. I think he said 60 to 80% travel on the process assurance side. It really depends. It depends on your clients. So if your client is headquartered in Detroit and they have a lot of different locations where their IT is decentralized, then that might be a case where you're traveling more. When I started off with the risk assurance practice, one of my main clients was Parker Hannafin, and it's a diversified manufacturing company where their IT was really decentralized, and they had a lot of in-scope locations. So as a result, I did traveling all the way from Tennessee to Rhode Island and different areas like that. So travel opportunities are there if you want it. I usually, during the recruiting process, I usually go around at least 20 to 30% traveling. It could be higher, it could be lower, just depending on your clients. Continuing business development opportunities, as Ryan had mentioned, and I alluded to, there's a lot of growth within risk assurance. And because there's a lot of growth within our people, but within our revenue as well. And as a result, there's a lot of business development opportunities that are out there. Ongoing training and personal enhancement. Part of what we do as risk assurance is we're really specialized. We are really specialized when it comes to understanding certain areas. Like my specialty is utilities and SAP. So as a result, to develop that, I had to go through technical training. Not only technical training on the SAP side, but also on the industry side with utilities. And in addition to that, as you go up throughout the firm, there's certain milestone trainings that have to happen, like there's Risk Assurance 1, Risk Assurance 2, Risk Assurance 3 for our associates, and then there's new senior training. So there's different cases in which you'll go to different trainings to help kind of develop both your technical skill sets as well as your interpersonal skills. So at new senior training, for example, some of the topics that are touched upon is coaching. How do you coach other individuals? How do you lead and manage other team members? How do you deal with difficult client situations? Experience with a large variety of system environments. There's different specialties within risk assurance. I'm more specialized in SAP. I think most of these guys are SAP. We also have capabilities within PeopleSoft and Oracle, as well as mainframe systems. Yeah.
So when you say you specialize in SAP, which modules specifically?
Really, I'm more of like the general, I wouldn't say generalist, but more of like the utilities, so the utilities ISU solution, more so as it relates back to CRB, CRM, so customer relationship management, customer billing, etc. So I know enough about SAP though, where I consider myself to be a generalist, where I know like what happens within the SAP environment, what are basic terminology within SAP, but my specialty within SAP would be more the utilities side.
If I might add in as well, so it really depends on the client as well. So I was just presented with the opportunity to learn more about project systems module, which I have really never even heard of before. I just heard it as an acronym in Tracy's class at PS, but yeah, it's a great experience. And so there's PS. I got a lot of training in FICO, and not only ECC, which is surrounding those modules, but there's also EWM, the warehouse management. Zach might be able to talk a little bit more about that. But there's a lot of different opportunities, and it really just depends on the client.
Yeah. DC, I have one main big client, and I'm pretty much on SAP EWM right now. And as much a lot of you probably know from SAP classes, or if you've taken the Turk 10, it's a pretty big module. And there's actually a couple, my client has a couple of different platforms for it, like EWM 1 and 2, and there's another one coming in. And so there's a lot going on with that. And then, but again, I don't have the SAP that he has. My client has a smaller SAP practice. They have like a bunch of different systems, but they all kind of tie to each other. So that's why the EWM is kind of in scope for us, and that's why I've been focusing on that recently. So. But like, can you go back? I've been 6 weeks, I've dealt with every single one of those bullet points. The bottom bullet point, I've dealt with all of them because they all tie together. And you'll see that in a lot of different systems and everything. So the teaching and stuff you guys are getting with SAP, you guys can use that across the board with the different ones like Oracle and PeopleSoft. And you'll learn mainframe, I'm sure. That's way different than client server, which is taught here. But
I think get off to.
oh, yeah. Get to keep talking. Sorry, guys. So the day in the life of a risk assurance. So I'm the fairly new one. Chris started a little bit before me. Brian interned. So my daily life. First 2 weeks, I did a lot of training, which anywhere you guys go, that's what you're going to do to get you associated with the company, how the company works, the values of the company, ways to improve yourself and improve the company, but also what you're going to do. So it was Risk Assurance 1 was what I trained. So Risk Assurance 1 basically you learn IA and P or process assurance. So that goes on for 2 weeks. You learn a lot. You learn the types of applications you're going to be using for your clients. But now that I'm getting into work, depending on what you want and what you want to do, you can have 1 to 3 clients or one big client like I do. And I deal with SAP, as we had mentioned before. I deal with EWM. Process assurance busy season is kind of starting up right now. Which means we have a lot of testing and a lot of walkthroughs. Ryan had mentioned walkthroughs earlier. It's basically when you sit down with the client and you go through a process through their system. So from A to B, what goes on, where does it go? A lot of flow charts are involved. And then you document all that. You have to basically, this is what you think you've learned, or hopefully what you have learned from the client, and then what are we going to do to test to make sure that, in my case, I deal with a lot of access. Like this person has the right access, and he or she can be granted into the prod or the development or the Q&A, and this person doesn't. So you do testing on that. You do test. So that's what I've been doing in the last week is testing for access. We also do. I'm going to start doing. What's the word? Program change, so access to program change too. That's specifically to me. I don't know what Ryan does on a daily basis. Chris probably does something very similar to what I do. But yeah, you're on a general thing as an associate. Your everyday thing is walkthroughs. Could be multiple times a day or once a day, depending on the process, and then documenting, figuring out the design of the system, and then eventually doing your evidence gathering, what you're going to receive from your client so you can test the system properly, what's in scope, and what the procedures are. That's my everyday at least.
What type of work are you working on, Chris?
I'm doing basically the same thing, a lot of documentation, testing program changes, walkthroughs, where we have internal audit, Right now, specifically, I'm on a SOX readiness project, so the company's getting ready to go public, so we're helping them through that process for IT and everything like that.
So day in the life, Zach and Chris kind of alluded to this, but really no day is ever the same. They had talked about interviewing clients, performing controls testing. Those are things that we do, evaluate a company's control environment. Once we get to the testing phase of what we do, we test out the controls, key controls within a client process, and we're responsible then for communicating those issues to the client. So not only communicating those issues, but what the impact is on financial statements. And we're also, these guys don't know, but when you're, as they move up, they're going to be responsible for supervising teams. And really, not as they move up to seniors, but also experienced associates as well, because we're really specialized within risk assurance. And as a result, there's not, someone had asked a question around SAP specialties. There's not a way that we can be specialized in SAP in its entirety and know everything that goes on in SAP, because there's a lot in the system. And as a result, there's a lot of collaboration that has to take place. There's lots of questions, and there's lots of answerings, and there's lots of inter-coaching that goes along from one new associate or one associate to another and really just throughout the levels as well. I learned so much from my teams that are performing the SAP work as we speak as well. So supervision happens across all levels, I would say. There's also, like I said, risk assurance, really fast-growing practice. So there is the potential that that as an associate you would be working on a proposal for a prospective client. Some of the industries that we serve, so in general, these are the industries that PwC plays in and that PwC has specialties in. Financial services, this is really like your asset management, your banking, your not-for-profits. These are more of like your not-for-profit companies as well as your governmental entities. Technology, Google's a client of ours, not the Detroit market, but just overall within PwC. Entertainment and media, pharmaceuticals, healthcare. Within healthcare, we're really trying to develop that specialty within risk assurance, so kind of a new and up-and-coming area or industry that we're serving. And then consumers and industrial products and services. This is where I serve in as part of utilities, as well as automotive falls into this realm, as well as manufacturing. Some of the key clients in our market, as you can see here, there's a breadth of industries that the Detroit market serves. I came from the Cleveland market. It's a much smaller market. There's a lot more smaller size companies. Within the Detroit market, I think you have a combination of both small and mid-sized companies. For example, you have your Chryslers and your Fords and your GMs as part of your bigger clients. DT Energy and CMS Energy, those are clients that I serve, for example. And then we have some of the smaller, more private companies like the Andersons, Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there's really a breadth of clients that we serve within the Detroit market. So PwC culture, what you can expect. We learn something new every day. I still learn something new every day, even though I've been with the firm for over 12 years. You meet someone new every day, and that's just the virtue of what we serve it. We're a client servicing professional organization. So networking, which is down on the slide, networking is key. You're required to network with your clients just so that you can develop those relationships. And then also from a teaming perspective, because it's such a team-based environment, networking is key. We do work with different teams and a variety of different clients. We talked about training. There's a lot of training that's involved from both the technical side as well as the interpersonal side. From a diversity perspective, PwC is a very diverse firm, and there's a lot of things that we have in place to kind of promote and celebrate that diversity. There's multicultural circles that are in place. There's professional women's circles, and just about every group that you can kind of think of exists nationally within our practice. Flexibility, really flexible environment. I was actually a bit worried when I became a new mom, just because my working hours before were I would get to client side at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then I would stay until like 7 or 8 o'clock, just depending on the time of year it was. And that doesn't happen when you have a child. When you have a child, you have to pick them up at daycare between 6 to 6:30. Otherwise, the daycare fees get to be pretty high and hefty. So my flexibility now is that I leave by 5 or 5:30, and then after I put my son Giovanni to sleep, then I log back on and finish what I have to do. And for me, flexibility is really key. Because with Giovanni too, my son does have a severe case of allergies. So whenever there's doctor's appointments that we have to go to, we also have to go to allergy appointments. And PwC has been really great in that I've been really able to be flexible with that. So if I have an appointment at 1 o'clock and I have a doctor's appointment and an allergy appointment kind of thereafter, then I can take that time off and then log back on if I need to. Traveling wise, we talked about travel. Traveling is great, especially if you're newer and you haven't experienced as much of the U.S. There's a lot of travel that's involved if you're willing to take it on. Networking we talked about, and your schedule is different from a day-to-day basis. So risk assurance. I guess let me pause for a second and just ask the group here, what are some of your favorite aspects of your job? I didn't really give them enough credit advance warning.
Okay.
What are you passionate about?
What's that?
What are you passionate about?
So I'm passionate about our firm. I know it's really cheesy, but as far as just like you said, you get to meet new people every day, and you just walk into the firm, and it's just a very friendly environment. And as far as from a technical perspective, I'm passionate, about learning different modules within SAP, and so the team aspect of PwC is another thing that I really like about PwC. If you don't know an answer to a question, you can ask your senior, your manager, or just a fellow associate that just knows more about that topic than you do. So there's what's that?
You can ask the
Not to exclude you. And so you can constantly be asking questions so you can get to your answer. So through that, you meet a lot of different people. So the resources are really endless with PwC.
I'm passionate about SAP as well, but more of like the business process side. That's what I think is really interesting about the technical abilities that you can learn here. Is not just like Professor Tracy always says, you can teach a monkey to run SAP by putting in the numbers and everything. But like it's how it works and what it's going to do in the long run and what's going to change and everything and how it's going to make the business more effective. And I get to actually deal with stuff like that, which is really cool. And I think it's really interesting.
I like the whole IT background, working in the team environment. Everybody's always kind. The culture's really what won me over, and what I really want to go to PwC for. Just going in there and helping the client accomplish their goals, because they're always working towards something, and we're helping them accomplish that. So just enjoy working with different people on a daily basis and helping them.
So as far as what we look for within risk assurance, we do look for both a bachelor's degree as well as a master's within accounting and finance, again with the systems background. And then we also look for both the flip side, an MIS major with a computer science degree or an accounting background. And this is just because the people that we deal with are individuals who are DBAs, who are systems analysts, as well as we're again a professional accounting services firm, so we do walkthroughs of, for example, the consolidations and eliminations process. Client service orientation, Chris hit upon this, where we look for individuals who are client service minded, who really want to help our clients and help our clients in terms of solving complex problems. Most of our clients are larger clients, and they have, as a result, it's diverse in terms of the problems that, it's diverse and complicated as to some of the problems that we run into. Strong written and oral communication skills. From the oral perspective, there are times, so every year we have our testing that happens and our walkthroughs, and we're bound to run into issues with our testing or our walkthroughs that we perform. And those are issues that have to be communicated to the client, not only as to what the issue is, but what the impact is. And that takes a strong person in terms of having that communication skill. As far as written communication skills, it's important because what we do is documented in our databases, and it really evidences the work that we do. And right now is a time where we have a lot of, I would say, oversight. We have the PCAOB that is an arm of the SEC that looks over the work that we do, as well as I'm actually participating in ECR next week, and that's where we go to a different engagement team and we look over the auditing work papers. So the reason why I bring that up is because the auditing work papers are expressed in a written manner, and those auditing work papers have to stand on their own. So third party has to come in and understand what you did from an auditing perspective. So that's where the strong written communication skills becomes really important. Ability to work effectively as a team. Chris hit upon this too. We're very much a team-based environment. So the work that my team does affects me and affects my deadlines. Likewise, what I do as far as like review, providing coaching, providing guidance, providing timely feedback, that affects my teams too. So it comes full circle in terms of the teaming environment. We also look for individuals that are highly motivated, interested in taking initiative for their personal growth and development. And the reason why we look for highly motivated people is because we're in such a team-based environment. So therefore, if we don't have that positive attitude, then that's going to affect the team, and that's going to affect the people that you interact with. And then as you move up within the firm, that's going to affect the people that work for you. And then we also look for the ability to prioritize and handle multiple tasks. Within risk assurance, we do have multiple clients, so the ability to kind of handle the tasks the priorities that come up with the client, meaning that with you managing multiple clients, sometimes there's a case where there's a client issue that comes up on a client that you're not scheduled on. You have to kind of manage those priorities and think about and work with your managers and your teams to prioritize. Professional certification. In order to be promoted to senior associate, you do have to have a professional certification. That could be your CPA, that could be your CISA. Some of our individuals have both. I have my CPA and my CISA. And there is a bonus associated with passing your CPA or CISA exam. With the CPA, if you are credentialed within the next, or if you pass your CPA exam, I think within a year, then you get a $5,000 bonus.
What is the CPA?
Certified Public Accountant. It's a beast of an exam. There's 4 parts to it, and luckily nowadays you can take the parts individually, but it's a beast of an exam. Some of those parts can range from 2 to 4 hours.
Okay, so before we transition into the recruiting part of the presentation, I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask us questions about risk assurance. The whole point of this presentation is to really show you how huge this practice is and get you excited about it and understand what opportunities we have available for you. So I've got some giveaways. So if anyone has a really good question, you can get a giveaway. Yeah?
I have a question. So what's the difference between the risk assurance and the IT advisory? Because I feel like it's kind of similar knowledge. You have to need to know the transactions, knowledge, and the business process. So what's exactly if I want to apply for PwC, so which part I should go to? Like what's the difference between these two?
So I'd say risk assurance is it's a great question because risk assurance does a little bit of both. So we do auditing services, so we provide assurances over helping, for example, on the process assurance side, we're helping our counterparts just really understand the account balances that go into your financial statements and understand the systems and processes that go into that. In addition to that, we can work on non-audit side, on the non-audit side. So this is where, for example, at one of my main clients, we're working with our advisory teams in terms of helping them analyze an SAP interface that routes over to Hewitt, which is their third-party pension administrator. And what we're doing is we're looking at that interface and we're understanding the coding that goes into that, and we're understanding what interfaces over to Hewitt so that we can provide a recommendation to the company as to what goes in and what goes out. From an advisory perspective, I'd say that that's more full-time consulting, especially if you're consulting on the technology side, if you're more leaning towards that avenue of advisory. On the risk assurance side, I think it's more of we play on the process assurance side as well as we can also play on the advisory side. So it's almost a mix of both.
It's actually a kind of interesting area, which is I might pursue it after graduation. How can I prepare myself while I'm studying now? I have 2 semesters of graduation. How can I prepare myself to be ready to be like in PwC or any areas, which is I'm doing my master's degree in MIS. I haven't had any experience in risk assurance or something. So what can I prepare myself? Is there any courses online, conferences that I can attend to have an idea before I go to this area?
So I think coming to a session like this is definitely a step in the right direction. In addition to that, I'd say, with the MIS and the accounting, we do look for both just having an understanding, a solid understanding of MIS concepts and accounting concepts, and will take you a long way. Also, within our SAP practice, we are looking to expand that group. So if you are interested in SAP, taking your SAP Term 10, having your SAP experience, I think goes a long way, because a lot of our professionals that come in sometimes don't have that SAP background, so we're teaching them some of the basic concepts when it comes to SAP. So having that SAP experience really gives you a leg up.
Are there specific kind of methodologies or industry approaches that you guys follow? Things like ITIL, Six Sigma, those sorts of things. So we try to provide a lot of those opportunities here to our students. And kind of as a backup to that, yes, is what would, from your standpoint, are there things that we can add that would make our students more appealing to you from that standpoint, specifics?
Yeah, I mean, I say there's things like ITIL, COSO. Those are different methodologies that we embody and that we look at when it comes to our professionals. Our professionals have to have that true understanding of that in its entirety. No, but I think that having that again, that base understanding just kind of gives you that leg up. And so I say it more on a security standpoint, especially with cybersecurity, and just understanding how important that is, especially from the board perspective. Just understanding ITIL and some of those security models and frameworks really helps.
So a couple hands over here.
So for the ITIL, do we also need a certificate for that as well, or it's just basic knowledge, knowing about it?
Yeah, we just look for basic knowledge. More of the certification route, we look more on the system, the CIAs, and the CPAs. That's our question right there.
So I want to ask, what's the hope of international students pursuing a career with PwC?
We definitely have opportunities in risk assurance for, we provide sponsorship for visas.
For international students, right? Right, that's fine, thank you.
Tyler?
So we have a lot of students in here who are looking forward to taking the Term 10 exam the following May, and especially for you three who are pretty much just fresh out of it. What kind of benefits would you say, not even from just having that certification, but just from setting through the class and kind of the knowledge you've gained through that? What kind of things have you seen that you've gone out in work experience and go, oh wow, I'm really happy I remember this from the Term 10. I'm really happy I took that. Or what kind of things can you apply that to in the real world? Because I think a lot of students, when they hear about this exam, a lot of them want to know, well, if I go through this, what kind of benefits am I going to be seeing along down the road?
So I just recently started my SAP goal,
with my engagement. So what I've taken away from the Terp 10 is more EWM. We learned a little bit about that, so I actually knew what they were talking about when we went through the walkthrough. It's the process. I haven't got too in depth with the process yet through me just starting and everything, but one thing from SAP, just it being so grounded here at Central, is I know how to navigate SAP, which some of the people on my engagement who don't work with SAP, but they don't know how to, my experienced associate, he's kind of like my lead on it, so I go to him. He learned SAP in a matter of like 2 weeks when he went to the client as well, but I already have that one up on him, even though he's been there for a year, so he's up on me. But at our standpoint, I kind of have that basis. I can navigate the SAP system that they're running on. But in the Terp 10 in the future, I'm going to be, my role is just starting out there, so I'm going to be actually using the processes more. I know that probably doesn't answer your question, but I still encourage you all to take it because you will use it if you go into an SAP role. I'm just really new in it, so I haven't accessed too much of it. But then outside of just like what you're going to use, it's going to help you guys find a job significantly. Once I mentioned the Terp 10 to my recruiter, Julie, who's not here, she was just like, awesome, right on, let's go. And then once I mentioned I was Terp 10 certified with my engagement, boom, they threw you in SAP. Like it's huge. They're going to do that in any kind of industry you go with, but at PwC it's really growing, so I really do encourage it.
And part of that reason, I think, too, is why our eyes light up when we hear about SAP Terp 10 is because within our risk assurance practice, that's an area that we want to grow. And reason being is because within SAP, it's a really complex ERP system, and it's more difficult to learn than, in my opinion, it's more difficult to learn than an Oracle and a PeopleSoft. So as a result, there's a learning curve that's associated with learning SAP and knowing SAP. And so any advantage that you have in terms of learning and navigating through SAP, knowing base concepts, knowing the terminology that goes in, that's a leg up among the people that come in that don't know SAP, that we want to make SAP professionals.
And if I might just quick add, so to bring a different perspective to that, I actually did not take my Terp 10. So yeah, I decided to pursue my CPA, but the thing you'll probably want to hear is that I regret not doing that. And I'm actually pursuing, looking into getting my Terp 10. Because a big benefit of that, as I was talking about with the team atmosphere, is your team at PwC can look to you as like the SAP guru, so to speak. So if they have a question, they can go to Zach and be like, hey, how do you do this? A lot of the navigation perspective, just quick answers from that aspect, as well as the technical perspective. When you go into an interview, it's hard to say, into an interview, when you say that you have the technical knowledge and Terp 10 certification, that's just like, that adds passion to your interview. And we talked about it before, we look for passionate individuals. So there's a lot of aspects that can really help you out.
Yes, I'm an international student from Bangladesh. There I completed BBA and MBA. My concentration was accounting and finance. And now I am here pursuing MSIS degree. So is it a good skill set to apply for a job in PwC?
To have your MIS degree?
MSIS, here, Master of Science in Information Systems.
Yeah. Is that a prerequisite? Is that the question? Is it a prerequisite?
Yes.
What's that?
Is it a good skill set?
Oh, got it. Yes, definitely. And I say that from the perspective of it's the accounting side and the information side that we look for. That's kind of the blend that's so great about risk assurance, is that you're utilizing both sides in terms of information systems as well as accounting. And I say that we use both sides because the professionals that we interact with, our DBAs, our systems analysts, they're programmers. They're also from the accounting side in terms of accounts payable, accounts receivable, and And so knowing some of that basic terminology goes a long way and adds credibility to what we do.
All right, so I'm out of prizes, and so let's just take a few minutes to talk through the recruiting process and just PwC as a whole, but we'll be here after the presentation, so please stop by. Let's talk ourselves. So I'll invite Jackie up to talk about the PwC professional.
So I just wanted to highlight really quickly, and hopefully I think the team's done a really great job today of hopefully generating some excitement for this profession. And if you walk away with nothing else today, know that you have picked an awesome profession. You are going to have a plethora of opportunities. I'm here to tell you why PwC is going to be the best opportunity for you. I'm happy to answer more questions in detail about this at the end. But wanted to highlight something that we actually just rolled out in our firm. And what that is called is the PwC Professional. So you'll see this framework that we have behind us. And this is something that we feel so strongly about that we are actually bringing it into the interview process. So this is something that we are, as we are talking to applicants, we are going to be looking to see how you shake out in these different dimensions. So we've really internally looked at and surveyed our clients to see what it is, what it takes to be a successful leader and a successful professional in this field and in everything that we do. So this is something that cross line of service is what we're rolling out. So we're focusing not only on whole leadership, which is right at the center of this, we're highlighting technical capabilities, which is inherent to this profession, but also your global acumen, your business acumen, and your relationships. So what we are doing within the firm is we've developed a complete training progression framework where we want to make sure that we are giving you the tool sets that you need to be a well-rounded professional. This isn't something that day one that we expect you to be an all-star in all of those areas. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that throughout your time with us that we are elevating you in each of those different areas. So you're able to, whether you're with us for a year or you're with us for 10 years, you're really able to add impact in your teams and in the clients that we serve. So I'm happy to go into more detail about that later. I really wanted to emphasize too what it is that we're focusing on from an interview standpoint and also within our professionals. And then just wanted to hit on the opportunities that we have at PwC. So as we mentioned before, this is a completely growing practice that we have within risk assurance. So we have internship opportunities, we have associate, new associates, so that's right out of college what you would start at. We also have experienced hire as well. So if you know people who have already graduated, there's certainly opportunities for that as well. A couple things that I wanted to highlight with our structure. So we touched on earlier that when you come right out of college, you would be considered an associate. But very quickly, within 1 year, we actually promote you to an experienced associate. So as we mentioned earlier, that means that you are seen as a leader on your team. You are going to be coaching interns that come in and join the practice. You're really going to have an opportunity to operate as a leader within that first year that you're at PwC. From there, typically within 2 to 3 years, you're then promoted to a senior associate. One of the neat things that we really do with the senior associate promotion is we send you to Discover, which is a all-paid-for resort retreat in California right now, where we really equip you with the tools that you need to be a successful leader. So one of my favorite parts about PwC is we are going to train the heck out of you. We are going to give you the tools that you need to be successful here. That doesn't stop on day one. That's something that you are going to see as a common theme throughout your career. So the Discover Leadership Program really focuses on how you can create that effective work-life balance that Patricia got at earlier and effectively lead your teams. After that, when you're promoted to a manager, not only do we give you your annual salary increase and a performance bonus, but we also give you a really hefty check a couple months into your manager role where you receive an extra 25% of your pay as an additional bonus. Our managers make great money as it is, so this is a little added incentive with that. Some people buy houses with that, not a whole house, but a down payment. Levels of the expectations here. So a really great perk, right, that we reward you for staying within our firm and growing within our firm. After that, we promote you to a senior manager. So hopefully everybody's still here with me. You get a 4-week paid-for sabbatical, which is a time that we want you to really be able to invest in something that you're passionate about. We want you to be passionate about PwC, but we want you to be passionate about your community. If you want to write a book during that time or really bond with your kid, there's the opportunity to do so with that break. And then finally, you stay with us all the way to the partner level, which several people do. We have a lot of people within our group. Actually, our partner for Central Michigan, Craig Van Remdonk, I don't know if you've had a chance to meet him, but he started as an intern and is now a partner. And just wanted to highlight that the average partner salary is $750,000 a year. So pretty nice salary. I don't know too many other professions that you can launch to that within 15 years. So I'm happy to answer more questions about that afterwards, but just wanted to put that out there. So here's some of the opportunities that we have available. Just for the sake of time, I've got some brochures for you guys to look at for some of the options that we have. We've talked through a lot of what the internship program will look like in full time. So my pamphlets down there also say the exact same thing. So positions that we have available. Basically, this slide in a whole says we've got a lot of positions that we're recruiting for. So I did hand out to most of you as you walked in these date cards. If you didn't get one, it's up front. It talks about all the times that you can meet me and staff to go through the recruiting process with us. So these are the opportunities that are available, and we can talk more at the information booth tomorrow, or if you want to come to the BAP presentation, we'll be talking about how to interview tomorrow for that. So just talking about next steps. Make sure you take one of these date cards. I'm also tracking who I've met while I've been on campus. So we've got this nifty QR code on the postcard. And you scan it, it takes you to a website, and you just add your first name, last name, and some of your interests so that we can reach out to you with opportunities. And it just kind of is a great way for me to track who I've been seeing on campus. So please do that within the next few days so that I know that we met and you heard our presentation. And then just check out the following dates on the date card. And then we'll be on campus quite a few times this fall. So the deadline to apply for our positions, which are posted right now, is September 19th. So please make sure that you do so. With that, I'm gonna let you guys go. We'll be here for questions. Thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome presentation. Thank you guys again. All right, so thank you guys again for coming. Remember, registration online. You guys can come up and pay. You guys can come up. I would highly suggest coming up and talk to these individuals because a lot of them are in the place that you're hoping to be eventually. So good to come up and talk. I would ask that Professor McBride's 635 class, is that it? If they could come up first because they do. If you're interested,
we have to get to class.
Yeah, they have to eventually be to class. So 635 class, if you guys want to kind of come up first, and then
if you're interested.
If you're interested,
I have a couple that are interested.
So
be sure to clean up in here.
Yes, please, because we're all adults, so we should be able to throw away paper plates. With that being said, we have Deloitte coming next week, so business casual again, and again, thank you guys again, and have another round of applause for.